Yeah. What's up and what's going on, my fellow fart knockers and dillweeds? It's Ant Master 5 with you, coming at you from 8 feet underground, somewhere at the base of the Catskill Mountains. And welcome to another episode of the Gen X Locker. See this cup? This is the Star Wars episode of the Gen X Locker. Star Wars, yeah. Tell you a thing or two about the saga. I'll tell you a thing or two about the saga. So this is a journey into sound. This is the Ant Master 5 journey of the saga. So if there's things I don't mention, like whatever's going on Disney, these three fingers stand for I don't care. Okay, so it's my show. Thank you. Again, I apologize for a little lax in content. I did a couple of the man on the street type of things. I did the on location, the antiques. Speaking of antiques, there's one thing you got to say about Star Wars. Star Wars came with merch. You know what this is? If this opens, this was the C3PO action figure case. There's no action figures in here at all. I have zero action figures. But before we begin, let's just go through some of the introductions here. We got Captain Phasma sitting up there. She's doing her thing. She's from the last three films. Hopefully the candle doesn't melt her. And then the iconic Mr. R2D2. He's hanging up there. He's also a candy machine. Anything else? I think we got it. There's a couple of things that I'll mention as I go along. So, might as well. The VHS copies. Now, it's I got these when I was 20 years old in 1995 from a store called Media Play. These are, oh, Jesus. These are VHSs. VHSs. These are VHS. A New Hope. And I don't know, do you call that liner notes? Be kind, rewind. It's at the beginning, so I did rewind it, but I keep holding on to them thinking, I don't know. I don't know if they're worth anything. My dog, rest his soul, Bear. He kind of used the case as a chew toy a little bit. But yeah, I have these on VHS and I also have them on DVD. Actually, no, I have them on Blu-ray. I have all 9 films on Blu-ray. Speaking of all 9 films, oh, what did you kids get yourselves into on this episode? Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Didn't Bill Murray do that in SNL? Think he did. All right. So, a little tidbit about Ant Master 5. As most of you know, I tried to curb my. By the way, I got a new chair for the locker, and it is so comfy. Ooh, wait, I got to take my headphones off for this one. The hat. This is the Stormtrooper hat. It even says, "Don't mind my hair. I need a friggin' haircut." And this was given to me as a present. My boy Blue, you're my boy. My can's back on. My boy Blue gave me this. He went to the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and dude, what a gift! Because I mean, honest to God, if you buy merch in a Star Wars, affiliated Star Wars park, I don't know what this hat must have cost him, $600-700. He might still be paying for it for all I know. Without further ado, so I'm like, do I have everything? I just want to make sure I got like all of my introductions done, and like I'm like I brought all this merch down here. I'm like, all right, I got to show them this. I got to show them this. I need my mug alone. I need to show you I'm a fan. I am not taking off my shirt and showing you my X-wing fighter tattoo. That reminds me. I haven't built it yet, but I will. I will. So, a little tidbit about me. So as most of you know, I'm born and raised on Long Island, right outside the 5 boroughs, in Nassau County, but a stone's throw from Queens. So the cool thing, why I want to do this episode, is that Captain Yellow Shirt, Ant Master 5, I have seen all 9 Star Wars films in theaters on the big screen. I know you're gonna do the math and you're gonna go, but wait a minute. Those of you who know my age, just hang on a minute. So now, if not opening night, excuse me, we don't edit here at the Gen X Locker. You know what we've learned from the realms of metal, uh, because editing is for sissies. So I saw everyone. So all three, 369. I saw all 9 films in theaters upon their release. If not opening night, definitely opening week. So to begin the our story begins a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, in the town of Westbury, Long Island. My father, who is an immigrant from Italy, as I always talk about, and I love the guy, and he's just I think what it was, I think my dad wanted like a true American experience. I think I could say that. So, what could be more American than to pile your family of 5 into your 74 Malibu station wagon, which seated 9 people, maybe 10, because it had that weird seat in the back, and take them to the Westbury Drive-In in Westbury, New York, Westbury, Long Island, and to see Star Wars, because it was like it was all hyped up. This is going to be the epic film of the summer. So in 1977, Memorial Day weekend of 1977, I, a wee lad of 2 years old, went to go see Star Wars with my family. My late brother being 12 and my sister being 11 at the time. Um, I don't remember it. I really, obviously I was 2. I really don't remember. Uh, my mom said, I behaved. She probably just gave me a lot of food. Oh my God, my shirt too. So that's how the first episode came into play with me. So I did get to see the first one on the big screen. Like I said, that's my calling card. And unfortunately I can't remember it, but hey, I was there. Regardless, I was there. So Star Wars: A New Hope, which then they called Episode 4. Yeah, that didn't come on till later. If most Star Wars geeks like me remember, like it just said Star Wars: A New Hope, and then all of a sudden everybody started playing the fact on, is it Episode 4? If I'm not mistaken, like it didn't say that originally, or did it? Like on the original crawler, like the one in 1977, or was that added later? I should have Googled that. I did most of my research. I have my book. I have my book. Speaking of books, kudos to my stepmom. She always gets me the coolest birthday and/or Christmas presents. This is a really cool Star Wars book. This is like every vehicle, and it's just, I mean, this is like, I don't want to call it bathroom literature. That's disrespectful. But like coffee table literature. Like, company comes over, this is on the coffee table. Hey, what's that? Hey, well, take a look. It's Star Wars. So yeah, New Hope, 1977. Lucas released it Memorial Day weekend. You're going to see a pattern here, and I'm going to talk about each film, just my perspective of how I saw them. I'm not going to go like much into depth of the films, because if you're a Star Wars geek like me, you pretty much know everything. Yeah, that guy with the black helmet is the whiny farm boy's father. So, um, The Empire Strikes Back, Episode 5, was released again, shot for Memorial Day weekend. It was May 21st of 1980. Now, by the time that came around, I was 5. I was a wee lad of 5 years old at that time. And my mom, just me and mom, just I don't have a lot of movie memories with my mother. I admit. I was just talking about that with my buddy Scow, that him and his late mom, they went to a lot of films. And I was like, we didn't do that. Like my mom just, they were just so busy with their pizzeria, but she, knew that I was hyped up for the movie because, the merch was already out there. And even though The Empire Strikes Back didn't, hit the theaters yet, Kenner was releasing Star Wars action figures like wildfire. I mean, you couldn't go into, I'm going to say 5 and 10 for those that are from the 5 boroughs, or from like the ones that are raised by boomers in the silent generation. You know what a 5 and 10 is. It's like a department store. They called it a 5 and 10 back then. And even though things weren't a nickel and a dime, even in my day when I was a kid, still called it a 5 and 10. But most department stores that had a toy department, it was like stuff. was just everywhere. You couldn't get away from it. So I was already getting action figures and vehicles and whatnot. And my mom took me to go see The Empire Strikes Back. Now, we went on a matinee, and I remember the theater not being too crowded, but crowded enough. And I mean, Empire was just, and it probably is by far out of the 9 full-length feature films, Empire will always be my favorite. And to I mean, I'll never forget, there's giant metal elephants walking in the snow. And it was just awesome. You couldn't, there was nothing about that film that was bad. And I mean, and I wasn't much of a critic then, but if Siskel and Ebert or Gene Shalit, what was his name? The one with the afro for the mustache and afro for the hair. I think he was on like ABC News. I mean, if they bashed it, fuck them. There was nothing to bash about The Empire Strikes Back. I mean, it was part of the epic saga. And it was. I mean, and it was like, Dante refers to it in Clerks as it was, that how it ended on such a downer, and that's what life is, a downer. But I mean, you knew there was going to be a third installment. But of course, when it comes to Empire and the days before the internet, unless somebody saw it and leaked it out to you, you didn't know. You know what I'm getting at? You didn't know that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's dad. You didn't know that. So when that happened, even 5-year-old me, I mean, I was just about to be 6, but when that scene happened, first he slices off his fucking hand, and then all of a sudden, like, Obi-Wan never told you. It's like, he told me enough. He told me, you tell him. And it was like, no, I am your father. And I mean, the whole, that was I mean, as early on as it was, as little as I was, I could remember the whole theater going, yeah, like Force had sound, like everybody just, I mean, you could hear the, oh, like, 4 or 5 rows behind you, because it was like, holy shit. And yeah, it was just a great film. The asteroid scenes and everything else. So come wintertime. So the next winter, or maybe not the next winter, but maybe the winter after that, we got friggin' pelted with a blizzard on Long Island, believe it or not. And we wound up getting like close to a foot of snow. And I remember I didn't have any of the snow vehicles. Like I didn't have an AT-AT. I didn't have like the chicken walk at a scout vehicle, but I did have a lot of the action figures in the Hoth gear. And I had Luke and Han both with the tauntauns. So man, I could not wait to go outside and play in the snow. But fuck my sled. Nah, I ain't taking my sled. Taking all my action figures, because this outside right now, it may be Long Island, but in this brain, it's Hoth, and we have to protect the power generators. I'm very passionate about Empire. I loved it. Just a great film. So, Return of the Jedi, Episode 6, again, Memorial Day weekend of 1983. So now I am 8 years old. So this one I definitely have more vivid memories of. And again, I can count on one hand how many movies I saw with my mom. This might be the second one. So again, mom decides to take me to a matinee of Return of the Jedi. I'm trying to think. There was somebody else with us. I think my mom took a friend of hers, and maybe no. I know there was another 2 people. No here, no there. But again, we went to the Glen Oaks Thin. It was very thin. It wasn't a fat theater. It was a skinny. We went to the Glen Oaks Twin, and it was in Glen Oaks, Queens, off of Union Turnpike. Wait, was it the Glen Oaks Twin? Because there was also the Herrick's Twin. Both of them had 2 screens. I know that. That was like a big thing before the multiplex theaters came in. It was like, oh wow, this movie theater has 2 screens. Woohoo! So we saw Return of the Jedi. So again, 1983. I'm 8 years old, and get my popcorn and get my soda. The only time I was really ever allowed. So we weren't soda drinkers in the Aunt Master 5 house. Just that was how my mom was. And sat down, and I think at this point, now it's a given. As soon as as soon as the house lights dimmed and that faded up a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and then pow, the John Williams orchestra comes out with that amazing symphony, and I guess now is when I say, okay, this crawler is a thing as it's crawling up. It's like, and then it says, episode 6, Return of the Jedi, and basically gives you a synopsis of what you're going to see. So now it's like, we're back on Tatooine, and you know we left Empire with Han Solo being turned into a fucking coffee table, and here he is in Jabba's palace. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Where is he? He's over here. There's Jabba. Sako dojido Wookie. I love to do Jabba. And so right there, I mean, again, no internet, so no spoilers, and you're like, are they gonna thaw him out? And who knew that this sleek little short bounty hunter, turns out to be Princess Leia in disguise. The one thing I remember about Jedi was like the first half of the movie, the air skiff scenes in the sail barges on the deserts of Tatooine. You're sitting there watching it and you're going, oh, it's warm. Why am I? Anybody else hot? Lucas captured that. Come to find out that I think I picked up on it myself after the film ended, where he composed the film of like these natural, global elements. You had space, you had desert, you had swamp, and then all of a sudden, now you had forest. So when it got to the forest moon of Endor, right? I was 8 years old. I thought the Ewoks were adorable, and they were. They were like these little bears, that spoke in some strange dialect that sounded almost very Asian, but there they were, and they were tough little bastards, and they almost roasted Han Solo until their Jesus showed up and told them not to. Uh, Jedi was amazing for me as well because I always remembered, the whole concept of the Death Star, and you were like, they made a planet, and now all of a sudden, this fucking thing shows up again under construction. There's like, guys setting up the wet floor signs and, mopping and, so I was like, wow, this is, the only thing I always remembered saying about Jedi was, they had it a little bit easy. Okay, yeah, I understand they had to get the deflector shield down. But when it came to like blowing the thing up, I mean, come on, Luke had to go down a trench, kind of, all right, gotta stay on target, come on, like Han Solo and Wedge and Neon Nub, the little co-pilot that was, hanging out in the Millennium Falcon, because Han Solo and Chewie, they were back down on Endor trying to blow up the shield generator. And they kind of flew right into the thing because it's all open. It's like going into a construction site when you were like, 15 years old and, messing with the, power jacks and stuff. Like, come on, there wasn't, fly towards the core and shoot that. And shoot the power regulator. That way it doesn't explode in our faces. And yeah, but other than that, another great film. So the saga was set, now I always remembered hearing something when I was in like when I was in drama class. I remember I had a teacher. Oh God, I cannot remember his name. It was an Italian guy. Audie, if you're watching, who was that guy? Wasn't he like an assistant lacrosse coach? No, not La Squadro. Shit. Something with an R. Rubino? Rebello? I'm just gonna stay on it for the rest of the episode. But I remember I was in a drama class and we were reading Oedipus Rex. And I don't know how it came up, but he mentioned something about Star Wars being written in something called Greek epic tradition. I might have that wrong, but where you tell the story middle, beginning, and then end. So you start with the middle, then you say the beginning, and then you tell the end of the story. So kind of setting the bar that there was, another 3 films and maybe another three films after that. So let me just get into it because I'm just going to breeze through this. By 1999, the internet is a thing, and the Phantom Menace is being poised for release, and it is everywhere and everywhere. And the merch is hitting the stores like there's no tomorrow. And you can't. I mean, it's like you cannot go. You can't even go into your local shop right without bumping into something Star Wars. There was just everything. And you're hearing like, oh, it's going to be a young Obi-Wan, and I don't know who this older guy is, but apparently somebody stole his daughter, and he has a series of skills. That was a horrible Liam Neeson look. It was hyped up. I was, pretty super psyched to see it. So it was released on Memorial Day weekend again, or close to it. It was May 19th of 99. And I was 24 years old. And so we're getting, close to the millennium. And I admit I immediately didn't like it. And like every other Star Wars geek, I was immediately turned off by Jar Jar Binks. And I couldn't follow the storyline. It was like the Viceroy and the Trade Federation. And I'm gonna get to my lightsaber point when I just finish the rest of the two. Now I was working in radio at the time, so I had a free pass to go see it. So I actually saw that on opening night at the Stinta Theater in New Paltz, and people were dressing up and whatnot. And I don't know, I wasn't impressed. I was disappointed, and I was kind of like, we'll see what episode 2 is going to be. So by the time episode 2 came up, Attack of the Clones in 2002. I was 27, saw it opening night, and I was like, and it just seemed a little dragged on, and it just seemed like, I don't know, there were just elements of the film that were just like too earthly. It's like, Obi-Wan, kind of like hanging out in a cafe, like a truck stop diner, drinking Jawa juice, which is coffee, and I don't know, it was like the cantina in A New Hope. That was a little, I don't know, it was spacey, it was sci-fi. This was just too Earth-like, and I was like, yeah. So that, then the whole clone thing, I was like, yeah. So then by the time Revenge of the Sith came out, and I admit at this point I'm 30 years old, and that came out in May of 2005. And I was working part-time at a radio station, and here again they sent me to go cover it on opening night. So I went to go see that one as well with a couple of radio buddies. And here again I was just, and as you could see how I'm just like not saying a lot about these films, not because I'm pressed for time, because I'm just like, and I wanted to like it, but the rise and fall of Anakin Skywalker was just, it was too quick. It was too quick. I understand they only had 3 films to do it, but maybe if they would have started with him as like a teenager, and they could have just said the backstory a little bit more, and maybe had his demise stretched out a little bit. So I don't know. I didn't take a lot away from it. There was really nothing in the prequel trilogy that stuck with me like the original trilogy. There really wasn't. But I will say, the character of Mace Windu, played by Samuel L. Jackson, bad motherfucker, that made up for a lot. I was, he was a badass. It was pretty cool. But the lightsaber scenes, I will say this: the lightsaber scenes in the prequels, the prequels were second to none. They really were. I mean, because basically, Obi-Wan and Vader just looked like they were fencing, and Vader and Skywalker, kind of the same thing. There wasn't, I mean, there was a couple of flips and jumps and stuff like that, but the young Obi-Wan, kind of spinning the lightsaber in white, kind of spinning his lightsaber in one hand. That was pretty cool. And then all of a sudden, as much as I didn't care for Darth Maul, I felt like he was a little cookie cutter, but no pun intended. But the double-edged lightsaber, yeah, okay, that was I was like, all right, that was pretty cool. But other than that, I don't take a lot from the prequels. The pod racing was pretty cool. There was a very cool video game based on the pod race. But yeah, I just kind of, I just didn't dig it. The Jar Jar thing left a bad taste in every Star Wars geek's mouth. And, we put them to bed. I don't even have them. I didn't even get them on VHS, nor did I get them on DVD or, Blu-ray later on. Like I have everything on Blu-ray now. So, so now, plenty of years go by. And, in the saga, 32 years go by from the space between or the between Jedi and then The Force Awakens. So The Force Awakens was released on December 18th of 2015. Obviously not that long ago. I'm 40 years old when I see this. And me and my buddy Billy, rest his soul, it was like, a pilgrimage. We had to see it. And it was like, we were staying off of Facebook. We were staying off of Instagram. It was like we didn't want any spoilers. And I remember I found out, and by the way, there are spoilers in this episode. And if I didn't give that disclaimer in the beginning, oh well. I remember saying, "Oh my God, I found out that Kylo Ren was, Han Solo and Princess Leia's son. Shit, but I never knew Han Solo was going to get killed. I didn't get that spoiler. So when it happened, I was the Han Solo getting killed thing was right up there when Vader told Luke that, yo, but I'm your daddy. I was, I was floored in my seat, and then, Chewie letting out the blood curdling cry. Um, but I will say this, I was psyched for it. I did enjoy this film. I did enjoy it immensely more than I enjoyed the prequels. The only thing about it, the storyline, it was very reminiscent to A New Hope. I mean, when you think about it, it's like, you got this orphan here in the desert, and there's a big gun in the sky, and we're going to go destroy the big gun in the sky. And so, from a writing perspective, and I understand, J.J. Abrams now comes into play, but, still. So, moving right along with, not Revenge, The Last Jedi. I almost said Revenge of the Sith. The Last Jedi, episode 8, which was released on December 15th of 2017. And if you haven't noticed, this is kind of funny because now they're being released at Christmas time because the other 6 films were released, Memorial Day weekend, poison, for the summer. I really didn't like The Last Jedi at all. There was really nothing I took home from it. I really like Adam Driver as an actor. He's in one of my favorite movies called This Is Where I Leave You. He was great as Kylo Ren on Saturday Night Live. He's a great guy, and served his country, United States Marine Corps. Go Mr. Driver. But I don't know. He just came across as very, did you just leave a Fall Out Boy concert? It was just very emo, and and then the whole thing with Luke, and he's gonna die now, and it's just again, I just didn't take a lot of it with me. But again, both of these films I did see. Both of those films I actually saw opening night, and then The Rise of Skywalker, I saw that opening night, and that was December 20th of 2019, and I liked it better than The Rise of Skywalker. Out of these 3 films, The Force Awakens was my favorite. And I think just basically because of the hype. It was nice to see the hype again. I mean, even though I didn't care for the Phantom Menace, it was pretty cool to be, walking around stores in the mall and just starting to see everything Star Wars again. It brought you back, and I mean, and granted, I was only 24 years old, but I'm not old then, like now, but it took me back, and I was like, wow, I feel like I'm 8 years old, and I'm walking through the Roosevelt Field Mall with my mom, and it's like everything Star Wars here, Star Wars there, and hey, you want to buy a lightsaber? So I will say, the merch hype and everything else, and how it was all over the internet and social media. That was, well, actually, there really wasn't social media in '99, but how much it was all over the internet and everywhere in every store. That was awesome. And the same thing with the last 3 films. Merch started to hit the stores again. And then, of course, now their social media. And it was, I always use my catchphrase, you couldn't get away from it. So that's basically all 9 films for me. I did see Rogue One, the spinoff there, which takes place like 2 weeks before A New Hope. That was released in Christmas time again, 2016. And I did see Solo, the Star Wars story, and that was released. I think that was another Memorial Day weekend thing or coming up to that, and that was May, according to my notes, 25th of 2018. Um, I enjoyed Rogue One. I thought Rogue One was a really fucking cool storyline. Solo was a little weak, but I thought that that character of Tobias Beckett, played by Woody Harrelson, was fucking amazing. I mean, what a jerk off. And he really pulled it off. I mean, that part of the film I definitely did dug. Dig Dug. We already did the gaming episode, but there is another gaming episode coming up. Um Now, when it comes to the Disney ones, I really didn't get much into any of them. The Mandalorian, I know you just want to crucify me for that. I did not care for the Book of Boba Fett. Ashoka, I have to revisit Ashoka because I started watching it and then I just got busy with work and no, wait a minute, I got COVID. That's but it's in the queue. Obi-Wan, I kind of dug it. But I don't know. It's weird, it kind of loses its luster when you're not going to the theater, when you're not going to buy popcorn and a big cherry squishy and, sitting down enjoying things on a silver screen, so, and there aren't a lot of movies that I go see. There's not a lot of movies that, start tickling me that, hey, Aunt, you gotta go see that movie. I will have to say my buddy Russ mentioned it on the Facebook site. Can I just borrow my note here? So there was the Doomed Christmas special, which was released in November of 1978 on CBS. I don't remember it. I really don't. I don't remember repeats of it, but I do remember seeing Harrison Ford like on like Johnny Carson or something like that, like, later on. And if it was mentioned, he was he was just like, can we talk about like my latest divorce? Like it was anything else. So yeah, I mean, all I just know is like, the tales of it being like just this cinematic abomination, even though it was, a made for TV thing. The other thing was there was the Ewok Battle for Endor. I don't remember seeing that at all, really. I knew there was a couple of Ewok spin-offs that came out. And then like the Clone Wars cartoon. I was a little too old for any of that, so I didn't, divulge, dive, whatever, much into any of that. But when it came to the 9 full-length feature films, I do like to have that, thing on my resume that yes, I saw them all in theaters, all either on opening night or opening week. And like I said, there's my ranking them. I'm not going to rank them now because, you pretty much know where they rank with me. You saw my excitement with the 3, and you saw me kind of I got a little bit more excited. And I mean, Empire, to me, The Empire Strikes Back will always be my favorite of the saga. So that is my Star Wars journey, or my Star Wars film journey. God, I wish I had some of my old figures. I really do, but I don't. I like I said, I have some merch, books, plenty of books, a couple of posters lying around, stuff like that. So as always, my fellow fart knockers and dillweeds, I appreciate you being here. If there's anything you want to hear, drop a comment right here. You can email me at the Gen X Locker at outlook.com. You can go to the Instagram page, the Gen X Locker at Instagram. You can go to the Facebook page. I always welcome the comments, and I really appreciate you guys being here. I had a little bit of a thing where I was like, nobody's watching, but you know what? Hey, man, I'm doing this for my own mental health. Um, if you're watching this right now, one person, that's all that matters. I had a lot of fun doing the episode. I love Star Wars. I am a Star Wars geek. So there you go. But again, keep it locked right here. We got some new stuff coming up soon. A couple of things in the works. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but a couple of things we got brewing. But again, I appreciate you being here, and may the force be with you. And again, we don't edit. So I'm just going to go over here and end my video. Check you later. Later.